Okay, looks like everything is streaming just fine. Where last I left off, looking into kdenlive, I determined that there was some rendering going on in a thread that did not have a valid OpenGL context. That rendering was invoked by mirror original properties here. And specifically, it happens when it does this operation right here, get frame to make sure we retrieve all original props. This causes OpenGL rendering to occur, OpenGL operations to occur, but this thread does not have the proper OpenGL context. This OpenGL operations must occur in one of the MLT rendering threads, which will have a rendering context, specifically one of them that's associated with this producer. So commenting this out, or if zeroing it, verified that this was the code that caused the particular bug I was encountering. That doesn't mean this code is incorrect. We'll get back to that later. For now, though, I'm going to check if the YouTube stream is functioning and get back real quick to this. I think it's live dashboard. Okay, cool. Chat. Nope, I want to pop out chat. And I don't need this anymore. Cool. All right, back to this. So this operation, get frame, if MLT says it's safe to invoke this on any thread, then this bug is fine. This code is correct, and MLT has the bug. If MLT states in its requirements for get frame that either it must be called on the thread that has a rendering context, or it doesn't say anything about it, then this code is either ambiguous with its correctness or definitely incorrect. Fortunately, there's a very easy way to fix this code right here, but I'm going to go look at get frame documentation. What is that? MLT frame get frame. Okay. Here we are at MLT documentation. So here's multiple cores, nothing about that mentioned. There is a specific page that I want to look at, which is OpenGL. It's going to take me a bit to read through this. Be careful to see if it states anything about get frame. Do not use, well, okay, so it basically says that it doesn't work, or it's not going to work. So this is an out. It's neither a bug in MLT or kdenlive. Then it's likely okay. Just something that needs to be developed on both of them. That's no problem. Okay, one more thing I want to check is the Doxygen, it's producer specifically, but somehow I think it's going to be in service, and their sudo C++ here. Obtain a frame. Nothing. Okay, so thread. Ooh, that's not what I wanted to see. Okay, so not really clear on any whether it's kdenlive or MLT. I don't think it's either. I'm just going to proceed on that both need to be improved. We already know, so I don't see in MLT's documentation any mention of get frame. Let's just say frame, maybe. See if it mentions anything about producer creation is not certain. Double save. Nothing about frame being not thread safe. Okay. So I'm guessing the lack of clarity here in MLT is an MLT issue. So I'm going to file an issue that states exactly that. For kdenlive, because it's ambiguous, please fill out this field. Hey, go away. I'm going to look where kdenlive calls getFrame. Okay, this might be related, but I'll reopen it. MLT server using movit filters may result in OpenGL on valid without context. Valid context. Why digging into the kdenlive issues using QueueQueueFX. Oh, this is going to be embarrassing. Okay, there we go. Experimentally, kdenlive. Not a render thread. This meant okay. I just gonna get to specifically this function in kdenlive. Let's go to what the heck is it? Clip controller or something? Yeah, clip controller. We want to go to what line is this? 661. Specifically, this function 661. Hey? Oh, this is MLT controller. Oh, quite a few different clip controllers. That was probably a terrible one to look at. Where the heck is this one? Source MLT controller, clip controller. Oh, that was right. Okay, fine. And looks like I need to integrate. There we are. command whatever thread. Okay, so I'm going to go back to myself. MLT, do I have a... Well, let's origin get diff. Excuse me. Related to this is But I am. Okay. Okay. So it's all right. Well, that is. Leave that as such, and get back to our kdenlive. All right, just updating my development environment. So we're back here, and because it's ambiguous on whether getFrame should be supported, I'm just going to make the choice that getFrame is not supported. All consumers of the frames. Damn, that would be very difficult to keep track of. What would be difficult to keep track of is that the producer and consumer structures are probably passed around kdenlive and other plugins of MLT, and they presumably, given that there is a getFrame function and there's nothing that says don't call getFrame, use getFrame all the time, or not all the time, but without consideration of the OpenGL context and what thread the OpenGL context is valid on, which does cause a bit of a problem. I don't want to audit kdenlive for proper use of getFrame. Much rather MLT do what? Properly yeah, I just expect MLT to return the current frame, do essentially the same thing. it's doing now, except for require a hard sync with a rendering thread. How difficult would that be? Probably pain in the butt. But let's audit, or at least check out how big of the get frame usage is in kdenlive. For instance, filter text does get frame. Yeah. Okay, so a lot of them expect to be able to use get frame. Not surprising. Oh yeah, it just keeps going. Okay, so yeah, a lot of this is using get frame. Sure enough. So we're going to undo this. This just happened to be the function that induced that bug. It doesn't itself have a bug in it. Assuming, of course, that getFrame is thread safe. If getFrame said it wasn't thread safe, then this would need to have some type of consideration of that. So MLT getFrame somehow needs to synchronize with the rendering thread, and I really don't know enough of the MLT architecture to say how that would work. I'm hoping I could try something naive where I just take the okay, so yeah, I'm gonna try naive change where I just change the getFrame function on the consumer. Actually, it wouldn't be the consumer, the service, the movit or GLSL service. Cool. So I know render frame texture. Everything calls the render to FBO. Hopefully is just one call of render to FBO, which is, oh yeah, in a test. Okay, 2. And then DLSL manager. Okay, so there's 2 invocations, 426 and 473. So what is this, 426? Render frame texture, okay. And then this one is RGB. Okay, so this is not supported, but that's a fan. So indeed, render frame texture is everything I need to look for. So what I'm hoping for is 2 invocations of render frame texture. Okay, movit render needs to be invoked on a render thread. Full stop. There's in fact only one call, which is movit render. Okay. So what about movit render? There are 3 calls to movit render. Only in convert though. Excellent. It's looking better and better. Got convert image. It's the first one. In fact, are they both in convert image? Yes, they're both in convert image. Okay. That's going to be unfortunate to look for. Yeah, that's what I thought. So convert image. It's only one that has to change, but this. What to do, what to do. This is a good question. What is dispose pixel pointers? I'm really starting to think. Dispose. To make sure this doesn't do any GL operations, because then we'll end up with the same problem, which is GL operations on the wrong thread. Looks good though. Oh, that's interesting. Did wonder about that. All right, well, let's fix that while we are here. Here we are. Okay, so that sets use texture, and this says if we've been asked to render some frame directly to a texture without any effects in between. Okay, we create a new mini chain to do so. Well, that's interesting. Alrighty. That's not going to do it. Lock service frame. Yeah, I think I'm going to call it here. It's kind of an interesting place to stop. How do we get this movit render onto an appropriate render thread? See what the MLT folks say. One option is to straight up spawn a thread on the render with a render context when movit render is called, and have a data structure that represents all these arguments to pass to it. Sync on the thread to get back the result. That's not terrible. I wouldn't worry too much about it, except for I don't know how to establish the appropriate GL context. By appropriate, I mean the one associated with this instance of the producer and consumer. Although maybe it doesn't really matter. Looks like this does use a singleton, so perhaps it's just any context will do. So with that, I'm going to end. I'll schedule the next one sometime later this week. Till then.